Super dope.
Plus Ultra. Hey, what's up, guys? My name is Kyle. Thank you for checking this out. Super dope. Plus Ultra, joined today by my friend
Feds. What's up, guys?
What's up, Feds?
Not much, man. How you doing?
Pretty GD great.
Good.
We are here today to talk about the new My Hero Academia movie, Heroes Rising. So I did have a couple of people actually say to me, namely Jimmy's girlfriend, Sam, last week when she was very drunk. She's like, listen, I really want to see that movie, but I guess it's all sold out. If you guys talk about it on the podcast, don't. I don't want you to spoil it for me. I'm like, here's the thing. Just, we're going to talk about it. Just don't listen to it. Don't listen to it.
It's that easy, folks.
It really is.
Just don't listen.
You've got the option to bow out of this podcast now. If you have not had the opportunity to see the movie yet, if you're not all caught up with the anime, there are even some things in this movie that tread lightly into some spoiler territory for the manga. I don't know how much of that I want to reveal for you, though, Feds.
Please don't reveal anything.
Okay, I won't. So, My Hero Academia, Heroes Rising, second movie in the franchise. You had the opportunity to watch Two Heroes, correct?
Yeah, I did.
What did you think of that film?
I thought it was pretty good. I liked the whole meeting All Might's former sidekick, right?
David Shield, yeah.
David Shield, yes. He was cool. I liked the gauntlets. That was dope.
Yeah, the Melissa Shield gauntlet design is something that I wish it somehow was able to be integrated into the show, but fortunately, no. And that's the thing. Going into these movies, as should be expected with pretty much any anime movie, unless explicitly told otherwise, as is the case with the last 3 Dragon Ball movies, you should probably go into most anime movies understanding that it's not going to be a canon story. It's going to be, for all intents and purposes, some filler stuff. Doesn't mean they can't, write, execute, make a tremendous, awesomely entertaining story. And we got about 90% of the way there, in my opinion, in this movie.
Yeah.
I think I did like this movie a lot more than Two Heroes. And
yeah, I did too.
I think it's because while Two Heroes has young All Might, and I'm a sucker for anything and everything All Might, when it gets to the point of present day in that movie, you don't get the experience of hanging out with all of the Class 1A students.
Right.
You get a handful of them. You get a few of them relegated to cameo roles. You get a few of them who are just not even really in the movie.
Right.
Like, I think Sato just gets straight up not even featured in that film whatsoever.
Yeah, I don't remember him being in the movie, to be honest.
So one thing I like about this movie is that it so heavily features all of the students in this scenario, filler kind of scenario.
They all kind of really get their time to shine,
So even though we're talking about a scenario in which, again, not canon, we should go in there expecting this, going through at least the first 2 acts of this film, I'm like, oh, wow. The way that they've written this, the way that they've intertwined parts that we know to be, have already taken place in the story of the anime or manga respectively, they seem like they've kind of gone out of their way in a few different ways to try to fit this into the canon storyline. Mm-hmm. So the whole time I'm like, holy shit, is this what this
is going to be part of it?
Is this real? Should I be taking notes? Am I going to be able to see Katsuma and Mohoro again? I don't know what to expect, but by the end of this film, and we will, I don't want to jump all the way to the end already.
No.
But by the end of the film, you realize, oh, never mind. Yeah, no, this is not canon.
No.
It would now be silly if it was canon. The last 5 minutes of this film, I don't want to say they were infuriating. That's not the right word. But they took what was a really good start of a film, and then
it was lackluster.
Not even lackluster. I feel like they kind of took away from everything that they'd already positively accomplished in the film by giving it this kind of meh. And don't get me wrong, meh is not the right word for it, but in terms of meh, how it could have fit into the storyline in comparison to the first 2/3 of the movie, those things fit in beautifully with the storyline of the show. Last 5 minutes, toss all of that shit out the window. None of this is of consequence anymore. So the basic setup for this film is all of the students of Class 1A are going to be going. have recently gotten their provisional licenses, and they are going to go do some hero work on Naboo Island, Nabu, not to be confused with the planet of Naboo from Star Wars, Naboo.
Yes.
So they're going to Naboo Island, and they're going to basically do hero work for its 1,000 inhabitants. It's a super remote island, very, very, very close to nil in terms of crime rate. But they recently had whatever hero who recently was inhabiting the island for decades and decades prior. That person retired. I wish we would have saw that person in this movie.
Yeah, me too.
I would have liked that. But the students of Class 1A are going to go there for. Did they give us a specific amount of time?
I thought it was like was it summer or was it
several weeks? I'm going with several weeks. I'm going with a couple of weeks.
Like probably like a semester or something like that. I don't know.
And they basically just, because expectedly it is a low crime rate in terms of the island, they're just kind of doing like everyday quote
all
unquote,
the mundane things of day-to-day life.
Yeah, quote unquote hero things. Like they're saving somebody's day for sure, but they're not saving them from a supervillain. They're saving them from a dead tractor battery, or they're saving them from not
being able to go to the hospital.
Just Ida running that old lady on his back several times over, man. Like
amazing.
It's one of the best still shots in the fucking film. So that's like the general premise of what the students are going to be up to in this film. But I like that this movie just throws you right into the middle of an action scene. And we get this awesome opening sequence from the first 3 to 5 minutes of the movie. It's like Rock Lock has a fucking Fast and the Furious gang in the world of My Hero Academia. And they're going through like this crazy, I don't want to say highway because they're like on these 2 single lane roads whirling around a mountain chasing this armored vehicle.
Yep.
And several cars, obviously they're souped up monster cars. Otherwise this would not be Rock Lock featuring the Fast and the Furious. But they are chasing whatever's in this armored vehicle. And we start to see shots of the people inside. And you see that, I forget his name in this moment, the little slug dude who was the
frog, the lizard-looking guy.
Yeah, the descendant of Stain, who's now in the League of Villains. He's driving the truck. And the vibe of it, especially I think it's because he's the one driving, but it gave me the vibe of the callback to that highway scene when Shigaraki and Overhaul.
It was a similar looking truck and everything.
Everything about it. So there's definitely some callbacks to that sort of scene, but we know that he's on the truck, he's driving it. We've got Dobby in the back. We've got Mr. Copy, whatever the fuck his name is.
Compress,
that's his name. Who else? Is one other person with them, I believe?
No, that was it.
Is it just the 3 of them? So they're being chased by Rocklock, several other different heroes. Gunhead, I believe, is in there, right?
Yep.
And, it all kind of comes to, you don't really know what the villains are trying to keep from the heroes at this point. You kind of get some shots around like it's a person, not a thing. And they're like in this high security sort of environment in the back of the truck. And man, before you fucking know it, who's the guy who shows up and just takes care of this a total, again, Fast and the Furious scene? Who takes care of the Fast and the Furious with like no remorse at all for the vehicle or people inside of it?
Vin Diesel.
Vin Diesel, a.k.a. Shoto's dad, Endeavor. With the Hellflame quirk. And it's just so action-packed in the sequence, and seeing him straight up melt the people inside the truck.
You get like the true feeling of what his power actually is.
You just get to see him be a badass. We've only seen it in very fleeting passing moments in the anime.
Like fighting the Nomus and stuff.
That's one of the only things I can namely think of. And like that shot of him like running across buildings with his heels and his feet, burning into the sides of buildings so he can run alongside of them. I'm like, holy shit, dude. This guy's a badass. So to see him blow up that truck in the beginning of it, obviously we find out that all of the League of Villains inside of the truck were just copies made by Compress. So
by Twice.
By Twice. So We do get to find out what's in the back of the truck. Again, as we mentioned, it's a person, and he's then rescued by his buds, right?
Yeah.
Slice, Chimera, and Mummy. So we got the main dude. We soon find out that his name is Nine, and his 3 main henchmen. So let's just jump right into Nine then. I mean,
Yeah.
9. It's not like 9 like German for no. It's 9 like I can have or hold 9 quirks and use 8. Is that what it is? Or
No, well, you have you can hold 8 additional quirks and
have
your 1 quirk.
So his 1 quirk, we did a little bit of reading before we hit record. We know that it's weather manipulation. So those lightning strikes that we see him do fairly early in the movie when he's chasing down Katsuma and Maharu's dad.
Yeah.
In that city scene, those lightning strikes that he does, that's actually his actual quirk that he was born with. But he can hold up to 8 other quirks. I don't think we see all 9 of the quirks in this film.
I don't think so either.
I know that
unless he didn't get actually get 9.
That could be it. I mean, he could have been holding a couple of spots open to be able to, he
definitely had 1 spot open to get the
cell regeneration quirk, which is ultimately what leads him to Maharu and Katsuma's dad. But we know that he had the lightning weather manipulation quirk. That's his main quirk. We know he had that shield that he used to block a bunch of Deku's hits. He definitely shot some lasers out his fingers.
They have the 2 dragon things.
Oh, that's right. I totally didn't even write that one down.
Yeah.
It reminded me, first of all, it looks like 2 Gyarados coming out of the motherfucking shoulder blades.
It did. That's what I thought it was at first.
It looks like 2 Gyarados fucking. But also I got vibes of, half a Dr. Octopus.
Yeah.
So
essentially, yeah.
So that's lightning, shield, laser fingers, Gyarados out your shoulder blades. The ability to take quirks in and of itself, which is what he was given from
All for One.
So, and it kind of explains like he doesn't, even though he's got the ability to do this given to him by All for One, he can't use it to like its fullest extent that All for One could.
Yeah.
So, and I like that they kind of give him like that built-in limit. And even though we don't understand the extent of his power this early in the film still, the idea that it's like All for One Junior.
Right.
Mini All for One.
Yeah.
And we've got Mini All Might and Deku. So, putting those 2 on a crash course, that's definitely great math for a 90-minute film.
Yep.
So he's got those 5 things, got the ability to take the quirks, and then he's got the ability to, I'm not even sure if this is a quirk or not, or if this was like a piece of the technology, like the support items that he has.
It could be, but he was using his eyes, though, and there was nothing covering his eyes or anything like that. So I assume that it's going to be a quirk.
And he would use those to like identify the people and what their quirks were when he looked at them.
Yeah.
And that was what gave him the ability to discern who their dad was. He takes the quirk, realizes that it doesn't work on type B blood, I believe.
No, type A.
Type A blood. And he's like, all right, well, this dude's quirk doesn't work.
I have type B blood.
Thankfully, this poor sap was just FaceTiming with his kids.
Yeah.
Now we've got pictures of his kids and know their exact location. Thanks, technology.
Yep.
I'm going to go fuck up this guy's kids now. Let's hope this guy's kids bear a little bit more fruit.
He didn't kill a guy.
No, you're right. He hospitalized them. There were several moments in this film where I'm like, holy shit.
Someone just died.
They just committed a murder. And that was the first one. There's several times where the UA kids, I'm like, oh my God, they just murdered an adult.
Yeah.
I mean, a villain adult. Yeah, sure. But still murder. Still an adult. Kids should not be killing anybody. Never mind full grown adults. So we get a little bit of, I don't know if we get like context as to what's driving, 9. They do allude to the idea that the only reason that 9 is even out there in the first place is it's because of the doctor's orders.
Right.
And now that All for One is kind of out of the picture and in jail, Shigaraki's like that guy. He's like, the leader, the guy on the come up, and the guy who's eventually meant to inherit whatever criminal empire the All for One set up for him. But in the meantime, the doctor is calling the shots. And that's why 9 is even out here in the first place. Outside of that, we just know that 9 is on a quest to restore the world in his own order, like that typical villain shit, his own vision.
Yep.
And if he just has the ability to get that cell regeneration quirk, he's going to be unstoppable.
Right.
Where's the only place he can find that quirk, you think?
I don't know. Maybe Homeboy's kids.
Where are they?
Naboo Island.
Naboo
Island.
Naboo Island. So obviously that sets us on a crash course for Naboo Island. So with them on the way, we get to see a little bit more filler time. And there's what I like about this film a lot is we kind of started it with at the top. All the characters get not only like these little scenes where they're like, hey, look at me, I'm being a useful quote unquote hero here on this island and, relative peace times. But even later on in the movie, when the actual fights start to break out, they continue, all of them pretty much, maybe with the exception of Shoji. I feel like he might be the only one who got a little bit boned.
Yeah, a little bit.
All of the heroes have a pretty, not miraculous, a pretty remarkable moment. Fighting against these super overpowered villains.
Right.
So let's look at them. We have already looked at 9 and, the smorgasbord of quirks that dude has to offer and bring into this scenario. We also see Mummy. Mummy, let's start with him because he is the first villain that I think we really see in terms of the fight against Bakugo.
Yeah.
And a handful of other classmates.
He's the first one you really see in action against the kids and everything. So.
And he just wraps some dudes up in some red
No, he wraps
cloth.
He was wrapping people. It wasn't even people at first. It was like objects.
Yeah.
It's like mailboxes and shit.
And just kind of using them to do whatever he wanted.
Right.
In terms of the attack. And then he eventually wraps up Bakugo mummy style. And Bakugo has this. It's just funny to see like a red wrapped up mummy that Bakugo's inside of it. Because there's pieces of his yellow spiky hair sticking out of it. And the whole time you're like, dude, I've seen Bakugo get swallowed up by a muck monster in episode 2. So I know this mummy dude ain't no fucking thing. And when he does eventually bust out of it, because this mummy wrap takes over inanimate objects, the clothes, the equipment, whatever the person's wearing, and that's actually what they're controlling. Bakugo somehow manages to blow up one of his explosion gauntlets, and that's what allows him to be able to break out and get free. Pretty cool scene. Mummy, though, I would say is probably the most disposable. Of all these guys.
Out of the 4 of them.
Let's move on to Slice. Slice is the only lady among the villains. It just seems like she can harden her hair and shoot it out as spikes or
blades.
Manipulate it.
She can turn her hair into blades, and she was firing blades from her hair.
And Minnie Van Dan leaned over to me in the middle of it, and he's like, yo, look at this bitch's hair, dude. She's carnage. And a lot of the visual to her hair definitely reminds me of all of those types of, makeshift weapons, axes, spears, whatever that Cletus Cassidy makes when he's in that Carnage symbiote. I totally understand, why you'd get that kind of vibe. And then the third person, or the fourth person in this group of 4 outside of 9 being at the top, I would say this dude looks like, or seems to be we'll call him the number 2.
Yeah, maybe not the right-hand man.
Maybe not in terms of command or anything, but in terms of
he's definitely his right-hand man.
Power and overall ability, though.
Oh, absolutely.
The Chimera.
That dude was fucking strong.
So you like a band called Chimera, right?
Yeah.
Talk to me about Chimera.
Chimera was nothing like that, dude. But they were definitely as intense as that dude was. I can tell you that.
So is it like the Chimera demon has the ability to, what's the word?
Manifest a bunch of different things.
Manifest,
kind of like Amajiki, just like
and they call that out.
Kirishima said it.
At a certain
looks
point,
just like Amajiki.
Yeah, he looks like Amajiki right now. Tom, my boy.
Tom.
Amajiki is called out in this movie, so we know that it's after that internship arc.
Yeah.
And that's another thing that people have been kind of questioning. If it were to fit in the canon, where would this movie fit?
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure that this movie takes place a decent chunk ahead of time than what we're currently seeing in the anime. So there are certain things that are kind of hinted at there. There are some characters that are introduced in this movie that are going to be integral to the anime.
I figured.
Namely, the only one that I know factors in is Hawks. And I know that Hawks...
I mean, I know you see when in the opening credits for the current season, you see pictures of him as like a little kid.
So we should expect...
So
yeah, exactly.
I was expecting to see him in this movie.
And we know that it's been mentioned at least. We haven't seen it on screen, but we know that Tokoyami's hero internship is going to be with Hawks. It's super brief mention.
Yeah.
I do know that Hawks has, and we see it on that opening scene as well. Hawks and Endeavor have a really solid relationship, and we know that Hawks seems to be tracking the movements of Shigaraki and the League of Villains and what they're up to in trying to utilize Nine. And he obviously doesn't know to go to Naboo Island, where they're going to go to try to steal this little kid's quirk or whatever. But he's at least like hip to what they're up to.
Yep.
Which is, I guess, great. So I like that battle scene with Chimera when they first show up and storm the island, because we're talking about characters who, get a respective amount of shine in a moment. And thinking of that battle scene, it's one of the scenes that stands out in my brain on the beach. Yep. And it's not even like it does anything particularly interesting or like over the top action based, but no. I just love seeing Oshiro, a character who I've openly called Cocktail on this goddamn podcast for the last 2 years. I've called cosplayers to their face who have worked very hard on Oshiro cosplays. I'm like, yo, what's up? Don't you think his tail looks like a penis? Don't you think that? When he's holding off Chimera, and it's like a combination, because obviously these kids have got no business being able to hold off any of these respective villains by themselves. So you've got that automatic situation of them having to combine powers and be able to strategize and try to be more tactful.
Yeah.
Tactical. Trying to be more tactical.
Tactful or tactical, either one.
You think? I don't know. I'm going with tactical. Trying to be more tactical with their approach, as opposed to trying to overwhelm them with anyone's certain particular amount of power. And we know that Todoroki's there, and that's in our brain as the fan. I feel like that's a pretty real possibility. Like, come on, Todoroki, just hell flame this asshole and then put him on ice.
That's what I was thinking the whole time. I was like, just freeze this motherfucker. What's he gonna do?
Yeah, kick him out into the ocean. Nobody's gonna know. Nobody will be any of the wiser. But they don't. Even though they tease that, they dangle that possibility of it there. Oshiro has like a really compelling, interesting fight with him, and he's doing like those whirlwind tail kick dance things to Homeboy's face.
Twister tail strike or some shit like that.
You know better than me, brother.
I don't know. Something like that.
I just appreciate the fact that he had a moment to shine himself, because I honestly do feel like Hagakure, the Invisible Girl, Sato, and Ojiro, I feel like of the 20 students in Class 1A, are the students most oft forgotten about.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
So for him to go toe-to-toe and...
don't forget about Coda, too. Coda's another one that doesn't get really talked about enough.
That's a good point, man. Coda definitely kind of is underutilized in a lot of ways, too. But to see Ojiro have this moment where he's going toe-to-toe with this big, scary, mythical demon kind of creature, even though we haven't seen his full mythical, scary demon, borderline kaiju status that we'll see in the final act of the movie, it was a really cool moment. Eventually, as the kids are fighting their respective villains, who does Slice fight in that opening fight? Is it? I don't remember.
Honestly, I think she was just trying to meet up with Nine or something. And
I remember a scene of her like kind of floating and shooting out her spike things at a long distance at like places where people may be hiding. Either way, we see the students basically battle these villains to a stalemate. At which point, the villain decides that they figured out what they need to do. It's time to retreat right now. And they all just kind of turn around and walk away. Like, oh, all right, we figured out what the plan is.
Well, no, because it was in the fight between Deku Bakugo and Nine, when they meet up at some point, because they're going after the kid initially. He overutilized the power, and he was like having like that episode where he's like getting sick.
Yeah. So in the fight between Nine and Bakugo, Nine, Bakugo, and Deku in the first meeting, that's when we get the hint that he's got a limit to how much he can use his quirk openly, like a physical limit. And you see him start to kind of
keel over in pain.
Yeah, not quite junky withdrawals, but pretty bad. And that's what forces them to retreat that first time.
Yeah,
and Slice rescues him.
Right. And she's like, oh, let's recuperate.
Let's get out of here.
Let's get the fuck out of here.
And Chimera's like, damn it, I was about to kill some fucking kids. So they leave. Now that the class of 1A knows that there are these villains trying to capture specifically these two kids, they're like, we better come up with a plan. We're not in a position to be able to just get a pro hero out here to save us. So Yaoyorozu goes ahead and makes a drone to be able to send to one of the closest islands, mainland, whatever it is, which is about, they say 6 hours, I think.
Yep, 6 hours.
And then it will take, 6 hours for that drone to get there. And then it'll take probably a little more than 6 hours for a hero to get there. So nobody's coming to save the day anytime soon. With that said, they decide that, again, going back to being more tactful in how they're planning. Is that the right word?
Tactical.
Why do I say tactful?
I don't know.
Fuck.
Tactful.
Yeah, I'm combining two words.
Yeah, you are.
Which two words that, do have some overlap, not quite synonyms.
No, not quite synonyms.
But they do have some
mean
overlap.
The same thing.
So now that we know that there are villains on the island after Katsuma and Mohoro, they decide that with Momo having sent the drones to the mainland to request help and backup from actual heroes, nobody will be coming to save them. So they have to decide to be more
tactical.
Tactical in their approach to defending these kids from the villains. They know that they're not in a position to be able to truly defeat and or capture them, but the best that they can do is buy out for as much time as they can and do their absolute best to keep these kids safe. So they go out to a western peninsula or some peninsula,
like some remote part of the island that no one goes to.
But there's only one way in.
One way in and one way out.
It's like having a drawbridge over your moat, except it's not really a drawbridge, it's just a strip of land.
Yep. Going to an island.
Tracts of land.
Except for that little strip of land. That's the only way it's not an island.
Deku, being the Captain America that he is in this situation, kind of draws out the plan like, all right, we're going to do this. We're going to draw them out. We're going to give them a diversion here, split them up. And then eventually, if we can hold off these three, after we separate everybody, if we can hold everyone off respectively for enough time, hopefully we'll get to
some pros here.
We'll get some pros here. And the idea of, the ultimate battle with 9 is they already have an understanding that he's got some type of limit to his quirk. So even though they know, we're very much risking our lives by trying this, but this is what true heroes do.
Right.
True heroes try to whip some ass. So even though they know that that's on the line, again, just with the understanding that they want to try to tire him out. All right. Okay, I can see this. This is an interesting dilemma for them to overcome. And I like that they take such, not even in just this movie, but like just the series in general. Like, even though they are students, they always do a tremendous job with continuing to raise the stakes for those students in real life villain situations, but at the same time, tempering the circumstances of that situation. So that way you can say, oh man, imagine if they were a real hero right now. It's crazy that they're just kids dealing with this.
Right, exactly.
But like, there's still somewhere to go up almost.
Yeah.
Because you realize that Deku as a young kid is able, or any of the classmates, they're able to handle this as students. Man, imagine the kind of thing that they'll be able to handle
when they're adults.
When they're a pro and adult. Yeah. So that's sort of the the third act of the film there is, let's get these villains to walk into our carefully orchestrated strategy, and then we'll try to fuck somebody up until a hero comes to save the day.
Yep.
We got Chimera versus the Todoroki.
Yep.
Todoroki.
It was Chimera versus Todoroki, Ida. Who else? I think Ojiro was still there too.
And in that final fight, Sue is there as well.
Yeah, that's right.
Because eventually Chimera just evolves almost like a super Pokemon evolution, whatever those are called.
Right.
He just grows into this, I won't say like Godzilla-sized monster. He's not smashing any buildings, but say he's like 10, 12, 15 feet tall, somewhere in that vicinity.
Oh, yeah. I would say that.
He's growing horns.
He's got wings.
He's just like spinning around in a constant circle.
Fucking things coming out of his arms.
Just
and
like
shit.
spitting purple fire out of his mouth or whatever.
This giant laser beam.
So the kid, again, what I find interesting about this movie is, and what I appreciate about this movie is, their ability and willingness to incorporate all of the students in the scenario from the get-go. But even when it gets down to primetime action sequences like this, where it's like, just get Todoroki over here, just get Bakugo over, why doesn't Deku just 100% smash this guy's dick off? Like, because they don't opt to go about it that way, they choose to incorporate everybody even in the later action sequences. The way that you do that is, all right, 4 different villains, 20 different students. They're all, not quite pro heroes. So take 4 students, think about a creative way to incorporate their 4 abilities and try to figure out a way in which they're going to be able to defeat this super OP villain. And in the case of Chimera versus Todoroki and Sue, because Sue is really the one that it comes down to in that.
Yeah.
They just attempt to tire him out, go a lot of different ways. And in the midst of the chaos of their battle, Asui is putting that toxic poison that she secretes, which is, by the way, something that, have we ever really seen her use it?
No.
I can't think of a time that we have.
Kirishima was there too.
Kirishima was there. Because if
he took the blast.
Because if he'd been with his boyfriend Bakugo, it would have been a whole different story against
Way
Nine.
Different story.
Boyfriend love fucking overcomes any asshole with the ability to hold 8 quirks or
something like that.
Hold 8 quirks and utilize 9 or whatever it is. Yeah, you're right. Kirishima was there, but Asui really ends up being the hero because she ultimately comes up with the solution to hit him with that secreted poison, paralyzing stuff that she can make
to paralyze him for a short amount of time.
But like they're real specific about like where they hit him in certain parts of his body, and they're like, "You think we were just doing those repeated actions because we're dumb little kids?
Yeah,
we're just trying to get you in the same spot enough times to be able to poison your dumb, big old kaiju looking ass." So I do appreciate like the strategy and the thought that went into defeating a guy like that. Then we have Slice.
Yep.
So Slice is a pretty lady. Is Slice the one that gets defeated by Mineta?
No.
Which one does Mineta fight?
Mineta fights 9 in the beginning. It was him and Ochako.
Yeah, and Sero.
Yeah.
Wow, what a fucking great scene that we glossed over there. The first time they fight 9, Mineta and Sero, I feel like, kind of get a bum deal in a lot of ways.
Yeah, me too.
But Sero at least has that Spider-Man vibe going for him with how he can use his tape. Mineta, his whole vibe is I have a boner and I'm fucking short. Yeah, and that's not a good aesthetic to have.
That's giant purple balls of things.
But watching those 3 work together to be able to smash all of those rocks against 9 in that battle scene was awesome. And I'm like, watching it, and I'm like, all right, I get Uraraka floating the rocks. I get Sero whipping them down.
How does Mineta fit into this puzzle?
How does Mineta even work into this? And then you watch the action in play, and it's like the rocks fall, Sero whips them, Mineta throws his great burst, sticks all of the things, and then they throw more rocks on top of like as if to say, like, here's fucking 15 layers of rock. Good luck breaking through this, 9.
Right.
Do you think you'll break through this? 9. Get it, German? No?
Yes.
Anyway, who fights Slice at the end? Do you remember?
It's Tokoyami and Mina.
So Mina, that's right. Mina, Oshiro, and Tokoyami have that weird, like, it's like in a cave almost.
Yeah.
And there's like all the spikes hanging down, and Mina is able to.
The stalagmites.
What?
Stalagmites, that's what those are called.
What are never.
Stalagmites and stalactites. I forget which one is which, but. One
More
comes from the ground, one comes from the ceiling.
So the stalagmites and the stalactites?
Yes.
Wow, go me. I fucked up a lot of words today, not just in this podcast, but several others. So stalagmites and stalactites, eh? 2 for 2. That fight is really cool.
Oh, that was one of my favorite moments, actually, of the movie.
What? Go ahead.
All right, so like the fighting's happening. The fight was really cool, but then Oshiro's like running around the fucking edge of the, I guess, arena, if you per se, and she gets hit with some of Spike's little spikes, slices Spikes. Sorry,
Yep.
and that did not go over well with Tokoyami, and he raged.
So
Dark Shadow raged.
So
bro.
as we
It was
mentioned,
awesome.
like we're in a cave, it's a dark setting. We know how Tokoyami's quirk works, and in all seriousness, that moment where Mina Oshiro gets hurt, I was real concerned for the duration of Slice's life. Like,
yeah,
so we're in a dark space already. Homeboy gets angry. And they've done it a couple of times in the anime, where Dark Shadow basically like kind of like almost coats or like armors or envelops Tokoyami's body, and he kind of fights with it around him. So they do that same thing in this scene, but
I feel like he's controlled it more though now.
you mean in terms of like how powerful it could have been given the darkness of the circumstances?
Not just that, but like in the summer camp arc, when you first see it like go berserk.
Yep.
Tokoyami has like zero control over it. He's just like sitting there. He's a sitting duck.
Very true.
But in this movie, it looked like he was able to control it a lot more.
A considerable amount of time has passed, and again, we're trying to figure out where this story would fall in line. And I think that it's pretty safe to say that it's going to fall at least like past what we're currently viewing in this school festival cultural arc. It's going to probably even past the next arc after that with the hero work stuff. So, but we do know that from the last time we saw Tokoyami use control of Dark Shadow, he's come a hell of a long way.
Absolutely.
And he's able to use it in like close up melee battles. It's no longer just exclusively like a long range thing. But the thing I fucking loved, they gave Tokoyami some goddamn Wolverine claws.
Those were badass.
Holy free holies, man. Especially seeing them go up against Spike's Slice's hair spike things.
Yeah.
So to have like that back and forth between like the blades go, such a cool scene. And ultimately Tokoyami overwhelms her, but whatever, I think it's the fight between Bakugo and Deku maybe breaks the ground open. Something breaks the ground open.
Yeah.
And Dark Shadow is revealed to a tremendous amount of light.
Right.
And that's literally like the only thing that saved that villain's life.
Right.
There's like they almost fucking freeze Chimera to death once, right? Or they freeze somebody to death almost.
No, yeah, they tried to freeze him underwater. Sue like pulls him under the water, and then Todoroki froze it, but then he was like, nah, dude.
There are several attempted murders in this film. Straight up. So that's Mummy, that's Slice, Chimera. Now we're getting to 9, the final battle with 9. Feds, you are almost 100 episodes into the original Dragon Ball series right now. How are you enjoying it so far?
I'm loving it, dude. I honestly really do not know why I waited so long.
I'll tell you why.
Why?
You got a friend like me who's been fucking babbling about it for 15 years.
Yeah, that's true.
And you're like, shut the fuck up about the sun. Or Dragon Ball in this case. But,
Don't talk shit about the sun.
oh, man. So I only ask you that because you've seen the foundational piece of Dragon Ball at this point.
Yeah.
And you are into a territory now where, and I was talking about that with our Dragon Ball super dope guest that I interviewed earlier this afternoon, reveal coming at the end of this Patreon video. But there's a certain point in Dragon Ball where like, you can almost kind of like feel the transitions. Mm-hmm. And the first, handful of 13 to 15 episodes, it's like very adventure based. And then it's like journey, martial art, like the martial arts aspect kind of comes into it, but it's still a little bit like out there week to week adventure based stuff.
Yeah.
And then at a certain point it becomes what we know today in the current world, not in 85, 86 when it was happening and coming out in the comics, but in the current world, we know it as like a martial arts, a shonen jump manga. And it's been the predecessor for so many things to have come since, My Hero Academia included. Now that you have a foundational understanding of Dragon Ball, I'm going to be real interested to see a year from now when you've watched maybe, well into Dragon Ball Z, maybe you've watched all of Dragon Ball Z, and you've got this whole other understanding of Dragon Ball. And then you go back and watch this fight again with Deku Bakugo versus 9. And I'd be curious to see the difference in your reaction to it. So watching this battle, again, obviously the idea is these two kids don't expect to win. They just want to draw this guy to a stalemate until help comes or until he tires himself out, has to retreat.
Right.
Which, by the way, that doesn't happen.
No, not at all.
Like right when he reaches his limit, I'm like, all right, cool, we did it. Hooray. He's like,
no, fuck this.
This isn't even my final form.
Right?
Like legit drops like that exact kind of feeling or that exact kind of turn and like it escalates like a typical shonen fight would. But the idea of him just kind of being tired and not being able to exert his quirk anymore, it just goes away in this last battle.
Yeah.
And it truly becomes like a draw to the finish. We do know that even though they got their asses fucked up in the beginning part of this fight, we have Shoji protecting the kids at the end of the island and like whatever weird little castle looking stronghold
near
thing.
That cave, the castle ruins, I think it was. Yeah.
So with Katsuma's quirk, again, the cell regenerative thing that 9 is after the entire movie, he's able to help heal Bakugo and Deku earlier in the film, but I think having that moment where the character, who again, it's just a little kid who we'll probably never see again after this movie, but having Deku play that quote unquote All Might role in that kid's life and being like, hey, even if, you know, this kid does have a quirk versus Deku not having a quirk, but even if you're in a position where you feel like your quirk can't be used for something useful in terms of being a hero,
there's always a use for it.
Still aspire to be a hero anyway. Yeah. There are ways in which you can use it. And this kid has the ability to heal them up before they have to go back out and fight 9 for the last time.
And not just heal them, but like make them strong, like a little bit stronger.
Yeah, like restores, but like, I don't know, reinvigorates? Is that the right word? Like it's almost similar to the way that a Saiyan has a Zenkai boost. You don't know what a Zenkai boost is, but
not yet anyways.
Listener, if you watch My Hero Academia and watch watch Dragon Ball, and you listen to this podcast, I'm assuming you know what a Zenkai boost is. If you don't, troublesome. Anyway, then going back to that fight with 9, right? I forgot about, like, he's hitting them with like the lightning stuff, and any hits they try to get in with you know, their respective quirks are just kind of being blocked or like shrugged off, whatever.
Yep.
I kind of didn't consider the fact that it was going to come a point where obviously there's going to come like that desperation point in the fight, but him being able to use so many other quirks, I totally spaced out him having these fucking Gyaradoses come out of his shoulder blades. So when they pop out, I'm like, oh shit, I forgot about those. And they gobble up both Deku and Bakugo. And I'm like, oh, all right, here's the low of the low. Here's like, you know, this is basically the moment before they come back and somehow put it all together and win. The theater wasn't as vocal.
No,
as
I noticed that too.
Did you go to? You didn't
I
see
didn't
Two
see
Heroes.
I didn't see Two Heroes in the theater.
So me and Carlton, I mean, we did go to fucking Chinatown in Boston.
Oh yeah, that probably.
And
has something
literally,
to do with
there was there were people standing in the theater. I don't know how, but there were so many people. That place, and we also watched the dub too.
Mm-hmm.
And what was annoying about the dub to me was a joke would happen, and the crowd would explode, and all the fucking fanboys would be like, ah ha ha, Benetta or Aoyama or whoever the fuck they're laughing about.
Right.
Meanwhile, you've missed like 20 full seconds of dialogue waiting for people to shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
And that was a deciding factor in me wanting to watch sub this time, was having the words on screen so I don't have to deal with people waiting to shut the fuck up for a second. But this crowd, for the most part, fairly respectful, and there wasn't too many super loud vocal reactions.
No, I wouldn't say any super loud ones. Like there was a couple of like ohs. Like
most of the loud reactions came from me. Like these kids just committed murder again, and I think the best reaction I feel I got from our immediate crowd. was in this part of the film. Deku and Bakugo getting gobbled up by some Gyarados out of fucking shoulder blade. And they've pretty much come to their end, and they're right there ready to give up.
Yep.
And Deku just looks at Bakugo and he's like, yeah, this looks terrible. We're pretty much done for. But there is one thing that I think we could do to get out of this. And I just stopped and I'm like, I've seen this movie. It came out in 1995. It's called fucking Fusion Reborn, movie 12 of Dragon Ball Z. I just yelled out loud, let's do the fusion dance. And everybody around us just cracked up laughing. So the testament to the crossover between MHA and Dragon Ball, because it was mostly older people, I dared us. That was the other thing I noticed too.
Yeah, there weren't a lot of young people there.
The Chinatown crowd that we watched it with.
All kids.
Very young. The majority of people we watched it with, and I'm sure that it had something to do with sub versus dub as well.
A lot of late teens and 20-somethings.
Yeah. It was a pretty cool, respectful crowd that we watched it with. But I'm like, we got to do the fusion dance. And it got a laugh. And then 2 seconds later, Deku's like, hey, eat this. Like, basically, he starts to describe, like, how One for All is passed on. And how the only way for them to get out of this is for them to have two All for Ones, One for Alls? Fucked up. The only way for them to get out of this battle is for them to both have the quirk of One for All.
Let's touch bloody hands, dude.
So the second he says that, I'm like, I need you to do something. Eat this. And that was like my third best laugh of the night, was the eat this. And I thought that he was legit going to give him a piece of hair or something, but not the case.
Nah.
So earlier in the movie, or earlier in the podcast, I should say, I said so much of what happens in this film lines up with the canon and the story of what we know in the anime and manga. And then this part just says, hey, I know that you've been thinking about that for the last 75 minutes, but fuck you. This now just became a non-canon story, and here's how. They grab each other's hands. The power is transferred. Okay, even if Deku has the intention to be able to transfer the power just through a simple fucking holding of each other's hands.
Well, we both had open cuts. That was the transfer of DNA.
Oh, all right. I didn't even think of that part.
Yeah, dude. Yeah,
didn't even think of that part.
Yeah.
I was legitimately
you could see the cut on Deku's finger.
All right,
cool. He had a cut on his finger too, so that's the DNA transfer.
There we go. So even though that happens, and that makes way more sense than what happened in my brain, initially I'm like, all right, I know how One for All works. Does that mean that Bakugo now has the strength of all of these, previous six, the predecessors of One for All?
Mm-hmm.
And
Deku?
And Deku?
Yeah.
And Deku then says, he follows up very quickly after this transfer happens. He's like, even after All Might gave it to me, he was still able to tap into the power of it and use the remaining embers or whatever. And I'm like, all right, I'm with you so far. And until you just explained the blood thing, I was even on board with the fucking simple touching of the hands thing.
Oh, yeah.
I was even on board with that. That's all good and fine. We now have two All for Ones. Damn it, One for Alls. We now have two One for Alls. And now they're going to go Super Saiyan Blue Deku and Super Saiyan Bakugo against Nine and overwhelm them with this. And whatever. They fucking... The coolest part about that battle sequence, in my opinion, and it's also kind of a Dragon Ball callback to the Tournament of Power, but I won't even call it a Dragon Ball callback to the Tournament of Power. Before they even do that whole transfer of power thing, is when Bakugo takes Deku,
the catapult move,
shucks him at him.
Yeah.
Oh my god,
that was
dude.
dope.
Straight up, that's. I would like to think Horikoshi did that from an X-Men perspective. First and foremost, Colossus, Chuck and Wolverine, the fastball special. But Frieza and Goku have a very similar moment in the Tournament of Power and Super. So all of those things were just very cool to see. I think that might have been one of my favorite action sequences there, though. But yeah, they continue to, now that they're both One for All, Deku and Bakugo, super powerful Super Saiyan types.
Yeah, man, they just fucking Detroit smash fucking hole in the clouds.
Watching Bakugo with the power coupled with his quirk, like there were points where like he's just blasting around, like he's got like a fucking Iron Man suit on, which he travels like typically anyway.
Yeah.
But him powered up, he was like blasting through the air.
Yeah, dude.
And there are even parts where like you see him melting parts of the ground around him, and like he falls into a fucking hole and has to get up out of it, because it's almost like the power itself is it's almost, I won't say overwhelming, because he can handle it and he works well with it.
Right.
But it's almost like way more than he expected it to be.
Yeah.
And like he wasn't ready.
Yeah, he's still like not fully aware of how to use it yet.
Yeah,
obviously.
yeah. Or like even like the extent of its true power.
Right.
So what I really liked about, obviously they go on to defeat 9 and he fucks off and goes to jail. No, he doesn't go to jail. We'll get to what happens.
We'll talk about that after.
Yeah, he fucks off. And ultimately, Hawks and All Might make their way out to the island, even though All Might can't fight nobody. What the fuck you gonna do?
He's just going to check on the kids, man.
He's gonna go bleed on somebody. But, no, he was going out to do exactly that. His teacher duties to go check on young Midoriya and all that. But Deku's very remorseful. And I love the scene so much, because you don't see a lot of All Might in this movie. A little bit at the beginning, a little bit at the end. And you see the remorse of Deku, having been somebody who didn't have a quirk, and in his biggest moment of desperation, in order to save his life, had to pass on his quirk to somebody who's been his biggest enemy and critic. So just the weight of that situation, but them having to relay that information to All Might, somebody who took a humongous gamble and
chose you over everyone else.
Yeah, over a guy like Mirio. So that kind of guilt when he expresses it to All Might is kind of a lot, and I appreciate the moment. And then the movie takes a turn.
Yep.
So I already said, when Bakugo becomes the one to inherit All for One, One for All, I keep fucking it up. When Bakugo eventually inherits One for All, that's when I was like, all right, we're out, because Deku will obviously regain this power in some way, shape, or form. Even, again, the assumption here going into this train of thought is this movie could fit into the canon until this final scene. So the final scene happens, Bakugo inherits the quirk. In my brain, I'm like, all right, that means Deku could theoretically give it back. Bakugo could, transfer the quirk back to him. And now Bakugo's fire quirk and the power and the ability in that is rolled up into the power of One for All. That's fucking an awesome little wrinkle into all of it. But, I can't really, I don't know. I could have seen a scenario in which Bakugo, having wielded the power, finally had some kind of, maybe not but at least respect for Deku and the mantle in which he's carrying. Tremendous amount of responsibility and power that comes with it. I feel like that could have happened very, very easily. Instead, what they opt to do is Bakugo passes out. The magic of One for All makes it so that Deku never lost the quirk at all. Like the transfer didn't complete, I guess.
Yeah, because apparently, I guess you got to be like breathing when that happens.
Whatever kind of little fun magic they work in there for the reasoning, it's all fine, okay? If you want to fucking figure out some kind of BS way for Bakugo to lose the power, okay, that's fine. My problem comes with, even if you write this movie with the full intention of not having it play into the major story of the manga or anime, the way that you make this story a more complete product in and of itself is you have Bakugo remember, and even if it's only limited to like this continuity of My Hero Academia, that there exists a story in which Bakugo and Midoriya teamed up to overcome this, basically, again, All for One Junior, All for One with a fucking slight disadvantage in terms of the tiredness or inability to continue to use his quirk. They teamed up. They didn't get along initially. They saw eye to eye. They worked together. They even shared the same quirk of the guy who, they grew up idolizing and is the reason they want to become heroes. And that could be a very easy, again, even if it only exists in this one parallel universe in which this story is the only fucking thing that happens, it's a more satisfying story for them to have that moment, respect each other coming out of the entirety of the story. By having Bakugo not remember what it was like to wield all for one for all and utilize it and just have it be like something that never really happened to him.
Yeah.
It just erases any possibility of having that moment at all. And I don't know why they did it. They could have gotten away with not having the memory wipe thing. Like it's like it was all a dream. You know, you weren't really that powerful, melting the ground around you and fighting these crazy criminals with the powerful quirk of your childhood hero. It's all a dream.
Yeah.
And you're just going to continue to go about life resenting this one little dickhead you went to elementary school with who's actually very nice to you. It's all a dream. So that's genuinely my beef with this movie. Everything about it exceeds the first movie, Two Heroes, by leaps and motherfucking bounds.
Absolutely.
And honestly, I don't even know if I could. I mean, Two Heroes is like a very formulaic anime movie, and so is this one for all intents and purposes, but it was a very entertaining one, and I feel like they wove the plot and character themes in better than most typical, let's do a one-off slice of life anime movie of a series typically do. I feel like this one exceeds the storytelling aspect and, just tying in the things that we love and care about when it comes to these characters into the actual plot of this story. And we're probably never going to see Katsuma or Maharu again. But having Deku be able to play that senior role to somebody who, is probably more within the expected demographic of My Hero Academia, aka a 10-year-old Japanese boy, and not a 30-year-old white dude who lives in New England. Understanding that those characters you'll probably never see again, you can still understand, respect, and enjoy the story with which they were utilized. So, all that being said, Feds, if you had to pick a favorite scene from this movie, what do you got, dude?
I think I have to go with the second fight with Deku and Bakugo against Nine. Just the fight scene,
the fusion dance and stuff.
Yeah, that was incredible. It was awesome to see two one for alls.
So
that was pretty awesome.
I don't know if I'll go. I think honestly, and it's I think I'm gonna go with the first 3 minutes of this movie. That highway sequence was some of the most different and entertaining My Hero Academia stuff I've seen since I started watching, I feel.
Yeah, that was like definitely in vein of like Marvel movies and stuff like that.
100%.
Yeah.
They just drop you in the middle of an action sequence.
Right.
You don't know what the fuck's going on. You'll figure it out. You see Rock Lock for fucking 3.5 frames. You're like, I remember him from last week's episode. Very cool. And before you know it, Endeavor's showing up doing the hero work that you've always kind of wanted him to be able to do.
Yeah.
Without him looking like a sourpuss about All Might.
Nah. He's fucking powerful as shit.
Yeah, man. Hellflame don't fuck around. I don't know what my favorite part would be, but I do enjoy some of the lighter moments for real. Seeing like that initial stuff of like them sitting around in the UA Hero Agency, just sitting around in like a random house answering phone calls of like, basically very super minor 911 type emergencies. Not even 911 emergencies, just like, my life is minorly inconvenienced. Can you please send some kids over to go help me out?
Hey, my cat's in my tree. Can someone come get it for me?
Yeah, exactly. That's sort of like, I enjoy a lot of that stuff, but I think the Chimera and Todoroki, the second fight,
that was a good one too.
Very cool. I do appreciate that this movie went through some, not extremes, but I feel like this movie went through some steps to differentiate the level on which you should look at Bakugo and Deku versus Todoroki. Because going into this movie, it's always been like those three together in my brain. Like if we had to guess their senior year, they're the next big three.
Yeah.
Who knows if that's how it shakes out? I imagine it will be, but I also have a tough time imagining them not having a girl in the big three.
No.
And if they do have a girl in the big three, Froppy.
Yeah.
You fucking heard it here first.
100%.
GD. So I think some of the favorite pieces for me was watching sort of Todoroki. I mean, not being like the central focal point of the story, but still having some really cool action sequences that stay true to the general monotoneness of his character.
Yeah.
He's a very monosyllabic type of dude. Overall, dude, I definitely prefer Heroes Rising over Two Heroes.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah?
Yeah, me too.
Cool. All right, so I don't know what you guys felt. I do know that at least one person, at least the one, left us a voicemail, so I want to take a listen to that real quick. See if we have any other kind of social media comments to chime in with here. Let's take a listen to the voicemail first. All right, we know that this voicemail comes from the Nerd News Happy Hour, friends of the show. Maybe we got some kind of crossover coming up soon. Who knows? Let me know, Nerd News Happy Hour Moths.
Dragon Ball Super Dope! This is Kalo from Nerd News Happy Hour. What's going on, Kyle and bros? Just want to tell you guys to keep up the great work. We love your stuff. Definitely keep at it. And yeah, we checked out the movie. Oh my god, incredible fucking movie. Oops, can you beat that out?
I won't.
Yeah, so seeing them both go plus ultra, phenomenal. Finally, what's his name, got a spotlight also, more than Deku, you know, so that was pretty cool. He got a little taste of that plus ultra. And, yeah, so does that mean that Deku has multiple quirks? Is that what we're trying to go for? And also, Shigaraki at the end, how did he teleport in there? Ooh wee! Does that mean he has multiple quirks too? Man, oh man! All right, you guys keep it real. Stay tuned. We're about to go live right now at 8:30. Maybe check us out. Otherwise, big shout out to you guys. It's going out for you tonight. Take it easy.
Great voicemail, except we didn't end it with a super dope, which typically tends to be routine here. So the Nerd News Happy Hour, make sure you guys go check out their podcast as well. That's right, dude. Shigaraki shows up at the end of the movie. 9 does not go to jail. Shigaraki just shows up and fucking dusts Tomeboy.
Yeah.
Like he's a goddamn Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Kind of like in the same vein as Overhaul with the guy in the hallway. Like, nope, you failed. Fuck you.
As far as Shigaraki teleporting in, I didn't gather or think that maybe he had multiple quirks. I was just thinking that Kurogiri probably teleported him in.
Yeah.
But I will say, Shigaraki, for like the 1.5 scenes that he's in this movie, he does look pretty badass.
Yeah.
He looks like he's coming into his own.
Look more and more like a villain.
Like an adult.
Like
Like instead of like an angsty little teen.
Right, yeah.
He's got like that long red jacket on, and he walks around for a decent portion of that scene without a hand on his face. And then when he leaves the building and goes out to go fuck things up again, he puts the hand back on.
It's gonna be dope.
Shigaraki needs some chapstick. Real bad.
Yeah, he's got some chapped ass lips.
That's like not even fucking the beginning of it. And then let's go head over to our Instagram. If you don't follow us on Instagram, I don't know what the hell is the matter with you. At DB Superdope. You can also follow us on Twitter. Twitter at DB Superdope, the number 1. And let's see, Facebook, not so much. Facebook's for old people and Nazis, so not that. Nick Quattrini did leave us a comment on the Instagram. Nick, we love you, brother. Also, I found out Nick is also from Rhode Island.
Oh, yeah?
Like, what the fuck, Nick? I thought you lived somewhere else, man. Turns out you're from Rhode Island. We ain't even tight like that. What the hell? Everyone knows each other in Rhode Island. Let me see. Nick Quattrini. The movie was amazing. I was a little behind on the episodes watched all day yesterday, and I was at around episode 14 and ended around episode 30. So wait a minute, homeboy. You watched the first 30 episodes and you went into this movie? Ballsy move. Much applause, except I'm holding a cell phone in my left hand and my right hand is currently curled up on my hip while I'm reading, so I'm not going to applaud you for shit. Anyway, carrying on with Nick's comment. I really like this series. Deku is a great character. Wow, you are brand new, man. Welcome aboard. I'm glad that I've talked you into watching this movie. He wasn't always strong, but he had strategy from studying other heroes, and I like that he doesn't always need strength. He can outthink his opponent. I'm not sure if I have a favorite character yet. I'm also terrible at remembering names, but the guy with the shadow bird, easily my favorite of the movie. I also like that everyone was equally important. No character felt sidelined.
Yeah.
Good point.
Yeah, that's a very good point.
Again, proper utilization of all the characters. All right, well, we appreciate you guys sharing some of your thoughts on the movie with us. If you do have additional thoughts, not only on the movie, but even the general series week to week, we do make episodes week over week for Super Dope Plus Ultra. Give us a call. Leave us a message. We'll play it on the show. 401-213-9596. 401-213-9596. It's a song now. So now that you know the song, give us a call and let us know what you think.
I do have an additional thought.
What's that?
Aoyama got a lot of shine in this movie.
Aoyama, the Miruboru, the naval buffet laser himself.
Yeah, when he went plus ultra.
Dude.
That was dope.
All of it was so dope. Honestly, we walked out of that movie at 9:30, 10 o'clock on Wednesday night. And all I could think about was, when am I going to get to see this again? I did not get to see Two Heroes in theaters more than the one time. It took several months for me to watch it a second time. This one, I'm definitely going to try to see in theaters again, hopefully. All right. Any other parting thoughts?
No. The movie was dope.
This movie
was super dope.
Super dope. Make sure you guys rate, subscribe, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, YouTube, all the places where the podcasts live. We appreciate you checking out our show and getting to the end here. If you were able to, I feel like you probably owe us a review, good, bad, or indifferent. Let us know what you think. And be on the lookout for a couple of additional episodes this week. We'll be covering My Hero Academia episode 83 and very special interview announcement.
Special.
For Dragon Ball Super Dope coming up later this week. So be on the lookout for that. Appreciate you guys. It's going to be it. All right. Gonna raise my hand with the peace sign. Federico enjoyed this movie.
I did.